My name is Freddie Petrelli. I'm the executive director of the Foundation of Forensic Anthropology of Guatemala.
With single gunshot wounds to the head. So this is a prime candidate for desaparecido.
I got involved in this by mistake. I mean, I met Clyde Snow in 1994, and he was working here since 1990. And when he invited me to come, seeing what happened, meeting the communities, seeing the necessity of finding a loved one that went missing for decades, it quickly drew me in, and I fell in love with the people, mostly. The work I've done affects everything else I do. I mean, it has completely changed my life. It has, well, the first thing, it has made me realize that I'm very fortunate, and that I grew up in this country and I was able to leave when I was 9, but many of the families that we work with are not as fortunate. They couldn't leave, they couldn't go. A lot of them were executed, others were disappeared. Others lived in the mountains without food or shelter for years at a time. So the first thing it makes me do, it makes me humble. It makes me realize how fortunate I am. And it also makes me feel very honored to be able to be in such a position of responsibility that allows me to reunite families with their loved ones. We look for the people that nobody else cares for, besides their loved ones. All that pain and anguish helps us fuel to continue the work, because it has to continue. I guess the most important part of it is, what if it was you? What would you want something to do if someone in your family disappeared? If your son, your husband, your father disappeared? What would you do? What would you want someone to do? And that's what we try to do. Something so powerful consumes you. The pain, the impotence, the sense of emptiness that every one of those family members have flows through everyone that works here. And we use that to channel it to try to find what disappeared. And at the same time, it gives us strength to be able to continue. And that's why I refuse to stop this work. I refuse to just let it go, because I know that the second we stop doing this here in Guatemala, it will probably end. The Forensic Anthropology Foundation of Guatemala has worked till today about 1,806 cases. We have recovered over 7,000 remains and have identified close to 3,500 of those. What has happened more recently is that we began to look for the people who had disappeared. See, in Guatemala, there's a difference between the people that were massacred, where family members, witnesses know where the person is, but have had to wait for decades to be able to exhume the bodies and to rebury them properly. In the case of the disappeared, people don't know where they are. So we began this search, and I think that has been our greatest achievement, has been to be able to provide an avenue of hope for the family members to be able to search for their loved ones. Looking back, I never imagined being where I am today. I mean, when I started here, there was only 5 people, and we really didn't know the extent of the damage. In other words, that there was 40,000 people disappeared, or that 200,000 victims were the result of this armed conflict. So through the years, everything that we accomplished was step by step. And at the same time, helping so many family members to search for their loved ones, helping some of them to find their loved ones and to be able to bury them in a dignified way. Everything, I think, from the moment I came in 1995 to now has been an adventure and something that I could have never imagined. The work that we do changes lives at the very basic level. It allows people to find truth. It allows people to come to terms with the terrible reality that their loved ones are dead. Everyone that we work with has the hope, still now, 33 years later, 34 years later, they all have the hope that their family member, their loved one will be alive. But when they begin to look for them with us, with our help, they're accepting that they're dead. So it changes them in that way, that it makes them look into a reality that they avoided for decades. But when we do find them, it's an explosion of emotions, from happiness to sorrow to empowerment to relief. It changes every part of that person's being. And then what I think is important is that it allows that person to focus on their future. There's a sense of responsibility in what we do. And that sense of responsibility has drawn me in and allowed me to expand on the work that Clyde started. My mentor always said, Clyde, Snow always said, bones speak softly, but if you know how to listen, they tell a lot. And with the bones, with the remains, and the families, because you got to remember, these families, they're the heroes in this, not us. Our role is minuscule, is almost non-existent. Without the families pushing, without these brave women that have led the search for the disappeared in Argentina, and Chile, in Guatemala, without these women, we wouldn't be doing what we do. Because what we're doing is at their service. What the prosecution is doing is at their service.